Welcome to Daily Success. Listen in on these personal conversations with today's leaders, innovators, and influencers as they discuss daily success principles, systems, and solutions. Get ready for Daily Success. Now, here's your host.
Hi, everyone. This is Tammy Patzer, and I'm really happy to introduce today's guest for the Daily Success giveaway, and it is GINA Gardiner. And GINA is coming to us from, I believe you live in England, right? Somewhere?
I live in Colchester, or just outside Colchester, about 90 miles northeast of London.
Okay, so the United Kingdom somewhere, so across the I guess they say across the pond.
Absolutely.
But I don't even know if that's true. But I'm glad that you're here, and I know it's a little bit later for you, so I want to get right into our interview about what you're offering, which is really cool, because your giveaway for the Daily Success giveaway is how to get happy, stay happy, and spread happiness, the 7-Day Happiness Challenge. So that's a really cool gift because we all need that. But let me tell everyone a little bit more about you, GINA, because you have quite the background. And I have interviewed you before, so I'll go find the link for that show and put it into the show notes because we went quite deep into your background, if I recall. So GINA Gardiner is the #1 international best-selling author, motivational speaker, empowerment and relationship coach, and transformational leadership trainer with more than 30 years of experience helping people experience happiness, success, and fulfillment. She's the founder of the Thrive Together Tribe membership and personal and spiritual development program and the Enlightened Leadership Program. And we're going to dive a little deeper into the Enlightened Leadership Program today with GINA. And she's also someone who's had to learn how to walk twice in her lifetime. And for more than 20 years, she actually ran an award-winning school, for the most part, from a wheelchair. So GINA really knows a lot about what it takes to overcome obstacles, but at the same time, how to become successful and, of course, become happy. The gift of this experience was the development of a unique approach to life and the development of transformational leadership. And again, like I said, I invited GINA to the Daily Success giveaway because her gift is how to get happy, stay happy, and spread happiness with the 7-Day Happiness Challenge. So welcome, GINA.
Thank you very much for having me here. I'm really grateful for it. It's a real privilege. Thank you.
So I just want to ask a little bit about the 7-Day Happiness Challenge. What is involved in the Happiness Challenge?
There are 7 videos, one each day, and there's a transcript if people prefer to read it, of simple strategies that you can incorporate into daily living that will help you, if you like, recalibrate your brain. Because happiness, I believe, is absolutely a choice. And the way in which we think, the quality of our thinking has a huge impact on the way in which we live our lives and how happy we are. The research shows that 95% of our thinking is habitual. If you're naturally an optimist, you look for the best in people, that you are hopeful about the future, you will have a very different outcome to your habitual way of thinking. If you're someone who focuses on the things that go wrong, on not having enough, on it never being enough, you're going to have a very different quality of life. And so the strategies are all about really helping you change your perspective, because we set up such conditions for being happy. You know, the I'll be happy when. I've got everything in place. I've got the perfect partner who doesn't ever nag. I've got the perfect house where nothing goes wrong. I've got the best job and a great car. And we continually add things to that list. And as soon as we've achieved some of them, then we add more. So it becomes that happiness is always in the future. But if you change your way of thinking to, I'll be happy every time I have a nice hot shower. I'll be happy every time I have a good cup of coffee or a nice cup of tea. When somebody that I care about phones me, when something makes me smile. You can raise the way in which you generate your mood. And I think one of the other things I would say is that when you take total responsibility for your emotional state, then life changes, because nobody can make you unhappy unless you give them permission. That if you are the arbiter of your emotional well-being, you step into the power and the control of you, then you're going to have a very different life. And that's all about creating a great relationship with yourself. And so the 7-Day Happiness it actually started as a Facebook challenge. And giving people just a simple 1 or 2 strategies a day to try. And then I had lots of feedback where people said they found it very useful. And these are strategies I commonly use with my clients, and I certainly use myself. And they have a profoundly positive effect if you do them. None of them cost any money. None of them are difficult in themselves. But what makes the difference is being consistent about doing them every day.
Well, it certainly sounds like the happiness challenge goes right perfectly with my daily success concept, because like you said, it doesn't cost anything to do them, yet they can make a profound difference in your life. So I'm looking forward to participating in the happiness challenge. I wanted to ask you more about your Enlightened Leadership program, because that's a fairly new program that you've created, and I guess it's launching soon. And I wanted to know what motivated you to create this Enlightened Leadership program.
I've worked for over 30 years with emerging middle managers and senior managers in terms of helping them develop a better way of leading. And there's probably 3 different motivations. One is the recognition from working with clients who are part of a leader's team where the leadership is poor, where they come to me because they're stressed, anxious, and depressed, because the stress that's created by working within an environment where the leadership is poor, where people make decisions and then change their mind every 5 minutes, where communication is poor, when leaders talk about values like integrity but don't demonstrate integrity. So I've worked with that group of people and know just how toxic poor leadership can be to quality of life and family living and health and so on. But I've also worked with leaders who are struggling to manage their team, who find it's like herding cats, who don't delegate effectively because they do it all themselves because at least they know it's done properly, and then they get into overwhelm. And I know from the work that I do with organisations, where I've worked consistently with organisations and always with the senior decision makers and then with different groups of people within the organisation, that when you get leadership right, when leadership is about leading by example, by leading yourself first and then nurturing the potential of people and growing that potential to self-organising teams where people take responsibility, radical responsibility for their own performance and shared responsibility for the performance of the team. Not only are they far more productive, are they much more profitable, but actually they're enjoying their job, the motivation is higher, that their health is better because they're less stressed, and that their work-life balance is very, very different because they're working together and they're using the strengths of the people within the team. And I now know, because I've done this since leaving headship or principalship, I've been working in this arena since 2004. It became more and more evident to me that people were being squeezed from both ends because of the political climate, because of the economic climate, and that what was happening is that leadership was becoming more bullish, more bullying, more toxic. And I realized that I was in a very good position because of my experience to do something about it. And I wanted to start, if you like, a movement from the bottom up, where leaders who really want to make a difference, who want to, who are prepared to do the inner work, because this is about leading yourself first and being very clear about who you are and how you operate, then it was possible to create fundamental transformational change. I know it works because I've been using it for so many years. But it was, how did I get to more people? And so the program has been set up so it can work anywhere in the English-speaking world. People will receive one-on-one coaching, and I have a group of very talented and experienced facilitators who will do that. Group coaching, which I will run. A whole range of videos, PowerPoint presentations, a reading, and so on, activities. So very supported all the way through the 10-month program. And the 10-month program, half of it is around personal and spiritual development, and the other half is about developing yourself as a leader. And I'm very excited about it. I'm passionate about it because I believe we've never needed a paradigm shift in the way in which people are being led than we have now. And I believe that leaders have the capacity to make fundamental change, which will mean, did you know that in the UK alone, half the prescriptions are for antidepressants? And most of the people that are on antidepressants cite their job as a major factor.
I can believe that, because in the United States, there are probably similar numbers, but because the population is so much larger, it's probably even more people. But I think you're right. We're living in this, I don't know, it's a toxic environment where we constantly see leaders who are telling lies, and people can't tell the difference between, well, what am I supposed to believe? And if my leader lies, I guess I can lie too. And then the bullying is getting out of control, because I remember back in the day that people, if somebody witnessed bullying, typically other people would step in and put a stop to it. They wouldn't allow someone to be bullied. Now it's almost like people don't say anything, and then it escalates into something worse. And of course, in the workplace, if that's the type of leadership you have, it makes for a very uncomfortable work environment. That's actually one reason why I became self-employed, is because I couldn't handle the backstabbing part of being in a workplace, because I was operating from treat people the way I wanted to be treated. And I kept getting stabbed in the back, and I was just like, I didn't know how to function like that. So I said, well, I'm going to go create my own business. So what type of people would really benefit from the Enlightened Leadership Program?
There are three distinct categories, I believe. The first are individuals who have been promoted because they're good salesmen, good technicians, but they haven't actually been given the opportunity to develop leadership, and that they're struggling. They find it's like herding cats. So individuals can put themselves on the program, or they can go to their bosses and ask to be put on the program. But coming at it as a worker, if you like, an emerging or middle manager. The second group are entrepreneurs, business people, SMEs, where they employ perhaps between 5 and 100 people. And they are overwhelmed that people are not necessarily delivering the best, And we live in a time when the speed and the range of change has never been greater. So if you don't utilize the potential of your team, and if you're trying to do it all, or you're constantly micromanaging, you haven't got time to work strategically on your business because you're so mired in the working in your business. And I know from the clients that I work with, a very large percentage of the clients I work with come into that category, that when we've done this work and we've worked for more than 9 months together, and that's part of the reason for the 10-month program, is that the businesses are much more productive, much more profitable, better work relationships, better work-life balance. Everybody is happier and more motivated. So it would be the business owners, entrepreneurs who employ people. And then the third group would be corporates, HR, who are looking for a management and leadership course. Unlike the general courses, where, did you know that less than 10% of what is taught on most leadership programs is being used 6 months later? And the problem is that they do nothing to work on the person. They do the leadership strategies, and it's like putting a plaster on a boil. Because if you want to create fundamental change, you have to look to yourself first and take responsibility. And that's not an instant thing. You've got to look at your beliefs, the patterns of thinking and language that you use. And the program has been designed very specifically to support that change and give people the opportunity to develop themselves and the leadership side. And the long-term plan is to run events and to mastermind, and to then provide an opportunity for people who've been through the program to continue their development and to make a positive difference on a broader scale afterwards. So for me, this is just the beginning, but it is in fact a culmination of 30 years' work. I know this stuff works because I've got example after example. Hasn't been delivered in quite the way it is being delivered, but in fact the principles and the strategies are the same.
Well, what I like is the fact that I like that you explained the 3 different types of people or leaders that may want to be involved, because sometimes, like entrepreneurial type people, one of the biggest problems is that you're trying to do everything yourself. You don't trust anybody. And you're also trying to work with people in long distance, virtual assistants sometimes, or sometimes you try to work with people who are in your proximity, but you're still working in this virtual real world, that line. And I think sometimes that creates some trauma because it isn't the same as when you're working, like when I was a newspaper editor, and I remember, you had a distinct line of delegation, and then of course you had deadlines that you were constantly trying to meet. So it's interesting how, we move into these different levels, but I was glad to hear that you could work with someone like me as well as the corporate, or if you're an emerging leader, like you said, because there are people out there who are, maybe they're transitioning from being a worker to being in management, or they're becoming an entrepreneur, and it's one of those levels of thinking that often we ignore until we get to a certain point when we're trying to scale, and we realize that as a solopreneur, you're not going anywhere without help. And so it sounds to me like your Enlightened Leadership program could really help people like that. And it's 10 months, and it's interesting because why 10 months and not 12 months or not 6 months? I'm curious.
The actual body of the formal program is 9 months. And there seemed to be a logic to that, in the sense that it's like having a baby, really. It's birthing a new way of being. But what I did is, when I I looked at what needed to be done, and I started, rather than deciding how long it was going to be and making the time fit that, I looked at what I felt needed to be covered in this program, and then how it could be done as efficiently and effectively, but at the same time give time and space for there to be a qualitative change. And what I'd recognised from the number of organisations and individuals I've worked with, that when you want to create a fundamental change, a shift in the way people think, that you can get very quick results very quickly. But if they're not really embedded very quickly, as soon as there's a challenge, people will revert back to their old way of being. And 9 months seemed to be long enough for people to have a pretty good spread of experiences going on. If it was too long, then I felt that people would just think, well, this is going to be too long a commitment. But to do it within the year, I mean, people could take longer if they wanted to, but they've got 11 sessions with their facilitator. They've got the initial session, which is setting things up and getting to know one another, and the last session, which is outside the 9 months, which is looking at what you've learned and then planning how are you going to leave a living legacy. Because people may think that this course is it, but actually this is just the beginning. And this is leadership for life. It's not for the faint-hearted, because people are going to have to dig deep, and they're going to have to face some perhaps challenging things about themselves, but they're going to do it with lots and lots of support. And so part of it was around finding a time scale that was long enough without it feeling too onerous, but also to keep it manageable in terms of price and so on, because there is a significant amount of support throughout the program.
Well, I really like the concept, and again, having that long-term support so that you can actually make those changes and make them stick. I actually was talking to someone earlier today about how long it really takes to change a habit. And she told me the myth was 21 days, that it really takes more like 66 days to make a real habit. And I know that it's really easy to revert back to something. You may learn a good way of doing something, but if you get under stress, it's really easy to revert back. I mean, you can see that a lot with people on diets.
Yes.
You do really, really well, and then something happens and you revert back to whatever that, you were doing before, and then you gain the weight. And it's similar to that, except it's with business or with leadership. So
just to say that if you think about being in business,
mm-hmm.
you don't get the same experiences all the time. So it's got to be long enough for there to be a range of challenges, because you're going to have to deal with all sorts of different people and different situations, aren't you?
Yes.
So, if you did a 3 months, well, you'll get that 3 months worth of challenge and different experiences. But over 9 months, you're going to get a pretty good spread, aren't you?
Yes. Like you said, it's kind of like birthing a baby. It takes time to develop everything and for different things to grow and everything. I wanted to ask you about if somebody wanted to reach out to you to find out more about what you offer and how you work with people. What's the best way to do that?
If they're interested in the Enlightened Leadership Program, then go to the website, which is the https:// but enlightenedleadership.co. If they want to see the general things, and because there's one-on-one coaching, there are lots of programs and a huge amount of free stuff, go onto the website, which is the same HTTPS and all of that, but it's genuinely, then a dash, a hyphen, and then the word you.com. So genuinely-u.com and enlightenedleadership.co, and they'll find everything there. They can set up a discovery call. There's lots of free stuff, for example, that people can sign up for. And there are a range of paid programs that people can sign up for. They can buy the books. They come in ebook, softback, hardback, audio. The latest book is in all of those formats, so they're all on the website too.
Well, that's really cool, and that is really something that's really nice to be able to have different content available in digital and audio, video, paperback, because different people like to consume information in different ways. And
we've done that in the Enlightened Leadership Program too. There's always a transcript, there's an audio, there's videos, there's PowerPoint presentations, again, to suit learning styles.
Yeah, I really like that. And remember, everyone, all you have to do to get your free gift is click, and you can get How to Get Happy, Stay Happy, and Spread Happiness, the 7-day happiness challenge. And then, of course, you can connect with GINA and find out more about her programs. And I think from what I noticed, GINA, is everything that you're talking about today, it really matches with how to achieve daily success. Yes. So thank you so much for sharing with us today.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to hearing from the listeners. Do let us know. They can also go on to Facebook. There's a Genuinely You Facebook group, or they can find me on LinkedIn. Okay,
perfect. So remember, everybody, it's GINA Gardiner, and you can find her at the enlightenedleadership.co. So that's .co. And then genuinely-u.com. And of course, I'll have all the hot links so that you can find her. And then when you go for the free gift, just click and you can go find your free gift. So thank you so much, GINA.
My pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.
Everyone, this is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day.
You've been listening to Daily Success. Tune in again and subscribe. Never miss a moment of daily success.